Hi, Leo Rising Sign. Here is your weekly forecast starting on the 23rd of February until the 1st of March. So, do let me know in the chat box below how you feel with this current eclipse season. I'm very curious to hear because, of course, this was quite a dramatic eclipse, which I made a 2.5 hour webinar for the YouTube members as well as the members on my website. So if that's something that you are interested in, then you can check out it on the website. You get 2 live readings a month and you get minimum 5 webinars opened up, depending on the level you are on. If you are on level 3, all courses and webinars in past as well as in future are available for your pleasure. But let's get going with this week. Well, first of all, we have got Atlantis entering Pisces, which is going to be your eighth house, so another eighth house activation, right? But we do have got the Mercury-Venus combination happening in your eighth house as well, which can be bringing an old debt or a soul contract back to the table. Maybe this is about negotiations, financial settlements, but with that, Pisces, we're going to have to be a little bit more compassionate with that Atlantis in your eighth house, it reveals where you have been overwhelmed by shared resources or certain type of secrets can come to light connected to money and psychological complexes as well. Mars is in your seventh house, squaring Uranus this week. So it's triggering actually the eclipse that went down. And maybe the partner does something erratic that affects the public reputation. All of a sudden, they can have an argument, for example, with a coworker or even with the company that they work for. So with the bosses. Now, we also have got the Sun and North Node conjunction. And that's a breakthrough somehow when it comes to some of your finances. Maybe it's a conversation that we are having about shared resources, or we might be planning, for example, to get more intimate. I can also imagine that there might be an unexpected tax or debt issue that might be coming up for you. That could be also with the Mars and Uranus square as well. And then we're going to have to solve it with a bit of a logic. But we might be confused about what is going on with taxation, what is going to be happening with the pay, and so forth. Or, or also, I can imagine that there is a little bit of because the sun rules you. So this could even indicate that you would like to transition, you would like to grow. And this feeling of growth, the vision and so forth is kind of like growing. And maybe this is a financial growth that you would like to achieve. We also have got the Venus and Juno sextile happening this week as well. Now that's triggering another eighth house activity plus the six. So maybe this is also about finding a way to manage financial arrangements. This is a little bit like the give and take of we're having to compromise but having to commit to something as well. And surely this could be an indication that it's time to get more disciplined when it comes to your medical scenarios, a commitment to a routine. And that could be giving you this psychological peace. Maybe it's a milestone that you hit, for example, in your diet and so on. But you can formalize an agreement with work as well. So maybe it's about talks that we are having connected to pay rise, promotion, transfer, and so on. Or maybe it's a good time actually to sign a contractual agreement. We also have got a Ceres and Chiron conjunction happening in your ninth house. And I find this important, even though we are talking about 2 asteroids, but Ceres has been in the sign of Aries for at least 9 months. And of course, Chiron is the last 7 years. But it's a bit of a crisis of faith. It's the wound of belief. And this has to be healed by a new philosophical journey. It's a travel plan potentially because we want to be taking care of ourselves. Or I can imagine that you might be able to connect with a teacher or a book, for example, that encourages you to be a more authentic self of yours. Or you heal that wound of intellect by realizing that your unique way of seeing the world is actually kind of like a gift, not necessarily a flow within you. Now, some of these aspects are going to be affecting you more and some are less. It depends on your natal chart. So you might want to be checking out, the general video that I made because I give you the specific degrees. And if you have got any planets sitting on those specific degrees, that's the aspect I would be watching out for the most. We also have got the Mars Uranus square, which we already touched based a little bit, but it's for example the partner who does something very erratic, and that could be impacting your career, your reputation, or their career and reputation as well. Maybe you want to be breaking up a contractual agreement, a long-term agreement, for example, because you want to get free. Maybe it's a desire that you would like to leave the job behind, and then we can make that erratic decision that we kind of like walk out, for example, out of a meeting room because it just feels very restrictive. Or maybe even it could represent some unexpected competition in your field. And it feels like that I have to upgrade something to keep the reputation going. We also have got Niobe entering Pisces as well this week. So another eighth house activation. And, this is about being a little bit, Niobe is about boasting about something. So, this is about boasting our talent or how well I manage finances, for example, or I'm just want to be proud of my financial achievements as well. But you can easily lose control you thought you had, let's say over a partner or an investment. And somehow you have to be facing the vulnerability of not knowing something. Or maybe this is about deepening the intimacy. Especially, it's possible when we are able to put the ego out of the way a little bit, because Niobe is all about egotistical matters as well. You know, we have got Moon out of bound the almost the entire week, and the out of bound starts in Taurus and finishes in Cancer. So on the 23rd, 24th, Moon is out of bound in your 10th house, and maybe these are the days when you have to be watching out for having, for example, an argument with a boss and so forth, because this might be a sudden change in your public status. You can act out of character at work as well, shocking your coworkers, your bosses, your peers. Maybe these are just some out of kind of bound type of ideas. Then the moon on the 25th, 26th is in your 11th house, and your social calendar can actually explode. You can be connecting with people from all walks of life, but we can get a bit scattered. So it's easy to forget where I am meant to be, following schedules and so forth. And then lastly, on the 27th, 28th, the moon is going to be finishing up its out of bound journey with Jupiter in your 12th house. And that could be about, yeah, I need a bit of an isolation. I need to retreat to my shell, to my crab shell, basically. I need a bit of a rest. There's a lot of emotional overload of the week that I have to be able to kind of process. So the need could be a lot bigger, and then I don't want to do the mundane tasks. I don't want to cook. I don't want to, go to the gym and so forth. So the need to sleep a little bit more can be a lot bigger. So this is pretty much the weekly energies for you this week. As you can see, most likely I would say that one of the most dangerous one, of course, is the Mars and Uranus square, which is going to be triggering that eclipse. Now, I think it's about, with the heavy eighth house, it's about Having influence over others, trying to convince someone, but also it is about knowing your own power. And once we know our power, once we can influence others, then it is about achievement as well at the end of the day. I think also important that you are aware of the type of power you have because it could be a positive power which able to move mountains and it could be a disruptive one as well because you can ruin everything that you've got, even in the sign of Pisces. And because it's Pisces, emotional decisions can be made. Our emotions are somehow fueling the power that we've got. And Niobe being in the ninth house, for example, and then making a conjunction to the sun, we can be too proud to admit our vulnerability. And the ego sometimes bites us in the butts. This also indicates that I might need to be having a chit chat, for example, with a powerful figure. For example, if I want to get a pay rise or if I want to make certain type of investments and so on. But also, this is a great time for, research, occult studies, explore something mysterious. But the negative side of that is that we can be jealous, we can be controlling, we can be too suspicious. So just be mindful about that. I think once the moon is actually in the 12th house, being out of bound, out of bound energy kind of indicates that we are full on emotionally, but then it goes back into normal, right? So the shift, usually we feel that quite heavily. Half a day we are really active, and then after all of a sudden I feel like I have to sleep the rest of the day. So therefore, it can make us super emotional sensitive as well. And especially, with Uranus and Mars, we need to be careful because we can, like, the partner, for example, can get frustrated and then project their anger onto us, right? Maybe because something is going down at work. And then with Moon in the 12th sign, we become super sensitive about it. And then we might just end up crying and so forth. Just know that this is not about you. This is potentially just a projection of something chaotic that might be going down at work. So, good luck, and I will see you next week. Take care. Bye bye.